Sesoko, in the normal course, IDAC and NPA, they account to the Minister of Justice. Did you not find it odd that the ID is reporting back to the Minister of Police in relation to ongoing investigations where the Minister of Police is not a complainant? Because by the time you went to the meeting, you must have known that, according to the presentation, Mr. Adams is the complainant. So did you not find it odd that you are now assisting the ID to report to the Minister of Police on matters that have nothing to do with him? And is that not interference in IDAC matters?
Well, Commissioners, it would seem like that. However, at the time, because I think she would have mentioned that there was a letter from the minister, then I think it was the context why she had to report to the minister. That's how I understood it.
Assuming there was a letter from the minister, do you not find it odd that the IDAC is reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations when he's not the complainant? The complainant is Mr. Adams. So why does IDAC report to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations?
Commissioners, in retrospect, I realized that maybe I should have raised that, but I did not raise it. And maybe it should not have been the case.
And you assisted. It's not a question of just you not raising it. It's a question of you saying, actually, let me assist you. Let me get you dead on Nkabinde to show the minister that he's not the person we should be reporting through.
My view, Commissioners, at the time was that based on the history that I know of Nkabinde, I was worried about that communication that goes through Mr. Nkabinde. So that is how I looked at it.
My issue is that your worry is misplaced. Your worry should have been, why are we reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing IDAC investigations? Forget who his secretary or whose chief of staff is. We should not be reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations where he's not even the complainant. The complainant is Mr. Adams.
I take the point, Commissioner.
What you did is you opened a line of investigation in relation to Mr. Nkabinde, which you later complain about, and you say you subsequently learned that a 41-6 or a 28-13, I can't remember which is which, has been authorized in relation to the leak to Mr. Nkabinde.
I'm not sure I understand.
The investigation to find out what cases Mr. Nkabinde is involved in, and that report which you attached to your statement, you came up with that because you said you don't trust Mr. Nkabinde, he's dishonest. The ID then said to you, find information for me, which you then did and you submitted to her.
That is correct.
And as a result of that, somebody told Mr. Nkabinde, we don't know who, that IDAC is investigating him.
That is correct.
The domino effect of that is that the 41-6 in relation to one of your colleagues was then authorized, which you say is unlawful.
That is correct.
Yes. So you set it in motion.
Yes, in a way, it appears like that, yes.
Yeah, may I just also raise my concern about this, that you became complicit to an investigation into Nkabinde, because there is now an investigation, because you said what you did. But you participate in that investigation because you go and find information on something that you volunteered. You're the one that volunteers it. And then there's an investigation, but that investigation is not founded on anything in the act. The investigation, there's no complaint, there's nothing. But you're all happy to investigate Mr. Nkabinde on the back of what you have said, and you don't have a problem with that. You're the second in charge. You don't say, hang on, I was just sharing for purposes of communication. Because if that's all you were doing, as a rule the one who holds the rules and who should be holding your people, your investigators, to your manual and to your rules, you in fact become complicit in an investigation into Mr. Nkabinde. And from where I'm sitting, it's no different from what Mr. Perumal has been doing, which is conducting investigations or participating in investigations that do not comply with your manual, that actually do not have a basis in your act. Because this which you are now investigating about Mr. Nkabinde, it doesn't arise from the act. It doesn't. And in that way, you put yourself in a position where you are no better than what, in fact, Ms. Johnson does on this. You're just as liable, or should be just as liable on this. If it's a point of criticism that an investigation was conducted on Mr. Nkabinde, it applies equally to you. Do you want to comment?
Yes, Commissioner. As I said earlier, that the issue of Mr. Nkabinde was part of the Blue Lights investigation. Now, at the time, as I've indicated, that the DPP that was responsible for matter had parked that issue. Now, the ID, when she instructed Mr. Pariati that she must look into the matter, in my own understanding, would have been the extension of that investigation on the Blue Lights. But as it turned out, because of what happened in relation to the allegations of the league, my understanding is that even that issue was never taken up.
Can be that you believed that it is an extension of that investigation. The DDPP has taken a position how he's going to handle that matter. This investigation arises on your words, and I think Ms. Ramsame's words. It is the ID says, find me dead on this person. It's not, it's in fact an investigation for ulterior purposes, not for the original purpose of the Blue Lights. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, he gave the minister, the ID, heebie-jeebies. I can't think of another word, sorry. Ms. Ramsame said, that's what the ID said. I don't like this guy, he gave me the heebie-jeebies, and then you say, oh, don't actually send stuff to him because I don't trust him. And then she says, find me stuff about him. That has nothing to do with your Blue Lights investigation, and you must accept that. It is because the ID is looking for something on him that will enable, according to her, warn the minister that do not trust him. So, I'm sorry, the answer is not, your explanation now that, well, it was a resuscitation, it's not, that's not what happened here. Can we please accept that?
Commissioner, I would concede based on what you are saying to me now. But at the time, that's how I honestly looked at it.
Maybe let me ask you a last question. At this point, what was the nature of your relationship with the ID that hopefully provides an explanation of your posture when she's doing clearly things that are wrong? Because it is wrong, this investigation. And that's not me saying there was no merit in the Blue Lights thing that you've decided to park against him. I'm talking about here what I say, the motive had nothing to do with the Blue Lights, had with how she claims he made her feel, but also now she wants to warn the minister. For you not to say to the ID, no, that's wrong, we shouldn't be doing that, and you're the second in command at this point. Your investigators report to you. What's the nature of your relationship at this point?
We've always had a good relationship with the ID. I cannot say that the relationship was strained or anything at that point in time.
Nothing that precluded you saying to her, maybe we shouldn't do this investigation now that we are starting. I was being helpful, only for purpose of communication. But now that you're speaking about investigating him, I think it's wrong. It doesn't comply with our law. It's not anticipated in our mandate. Nothing stopped you saying that to her.
Nothing stopped me saying it, and I didn't say it.
Okay, thank you.
And then just on the last thing on this point, you would be reading this and then learning about the nature of the things that IDAC was to investigate. And on the face of it, some of them don't appear to fall under IDAC's mandate. I'll draw an example to the procurement of a forklift, for example. That's point 2 of the allegations. When you're reading those and you're seeing what appears to be things that on the face of it don't fall within the mandate, what goes through your mind?
Commissioners, my view at the time, the presentation is not normally a detail. So the meeting would give a detail. So I honestly did not raise eyebrows with it, with the understanding that when we get to the meeting, we'll get to understand what this investigation is about.
But did you then get that detail at the meeting?
Yes, as I had testified earlier, Chairperson, that when the team members explained what is alleged here, it was how it was presented was that there is corruption, manipulation of processes, there is issues of gratification and so forth. So those were things that were discussed in the meeting that then said, justified why the matter was in IDAC. But also, for me, it was because the ID had authorized it. I did not question much about what is being presented would be something that does not necessarily fall within the mandate.
But the issue was about the mandate itself, and as I understand it, the substance of the question by Ms. Poe is whether all these indeed fell under the mandate. And that question cannot be answered purely by the ID having authorized what was going on. The question of the mandate is a legal question answerable in terms of the statutory mandate. So I'm not sure that what you say answers that part of Ms. Bower's question.
Chair, as I'm saying that at the time, based on what was presented, that's how I understood it, that what the team members were presenting to say what it's alleged and what is being investigated would then, the offenses would then fall within the IDAC mandate.
And Ms. Power specifically refers to the procurement of a forklift, and she suggests to you that that could not possibly have fallen under IP's mandate. You say all the questions were answered. Was that question or that issue answered? That specific issue?
If my memory serves me well, Commissioners.
If so, how? Because unless, for example, you are able to say there's fraud, there's corruption, or there's corruption insofar as the procurement was concerned, if there wasn't corruption in relation to that procurement, then it would have been an offense falling under IDAC's mandate insofar as there is provision for certain specified statutory offenses, but those, at least on our interpretation thus far, those should be additional related offenses, and we interpret the additional related to be additional and related to the other offenses specified as falling under IDAC's mandate. So Ms. Poe is suggesting to you that the procurement of the forklift could not possibly have fallen under IP's mandate.
Commissioners, as I remember what was presented at the time, the issue of the forklifts, it was not one forklift, what I remember. It was a number of forklifts. And this irregular procurement was alleged to have cost the SAPS millions. So
It's not the amount that would make an offense fall under IP's mandate. It's its nature in terms of what the Act provides for. It's not the magnitude of the amount involved.
Commissioners, my understanding,
Or don't you agree?
my understanding at the time was that
Don't you agree? Don't you agree to the proposition I've just made? That it's not just the magnitude of the amount involved, because that's what you said in response to my last question.
Commissioners, how I understood it is that it falls within the mandate in the context of financial, a financial offense as provided for in the Act, and also the fact that the amounts involved also. So when I looked at it, or at least from what the presentation was made, I understood it in that context. And I didn't question why it is not in our mandate. And the way debate is about it, but ultimately it was settled that it was within mandate.
Am I mistaken? Why do I seem to recall that mention has been of a forklift singular? You are talking about many forklifts. I'm not aware that that's the evidence. Everybody has been talking about forklift singular.
Yeah.
Chair, even the presentation indicates it's a forklift.
Yes.
And even what's on evidence, it's a forklift, and it cost around about, I think it was about 200 and something thousand.
Have a look at page 322, the very first bullet on that page, the procurement of a forklift. And indeed, that accords with my recollection of the evidence throughout this IDAC stream of testimony. So you say a huge amount was involved because there were several forklifts. So your point about several forklifts and therefore a huge amount of money falls away is just one forklift.
I see what is in the presentation, Commissioners, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about what was presented, as I recall it.
But how can that be? How can it be that when the testimony of everybody, including Advocate Johnson and your other colleagues, everybody has been talking about one forklift? How could they, at the presentation, have spoken about many forklifts? I'm inclined not to believe that there ever was such a presentation, Mr. Sesoko.
Chair, I may be mistaken, but that's how I recall it.
If you are wrong, would there be a basis for having thought that this fell under IDAC's mandate?
No, it wouldn't be.
Yes. Forward.
Thank you, Chair. I recall that when Commissioner Khumalo asked the Advocate Johnson, what does the procurement of a forklift that wasn't delivered have to do with IDAC's mandate, she too couldn't explain. Now, while we're dealing with this meeting, let's leave aside the aspects of the 27 referral. One of the things, major things that happens in this meeting is, and you note that also in your affidavit, is the issue around reporting to the minister comes up. And in particular, the ID indicates that she would do so through the Office of the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And when that happens, you then indicate to her that it's not a good idea because Mr. Nkabinde is not is compromised. Right. And then the ID asks for information related to this. And
That is
then
correct.
you agree that you would provide this information.
That is correct.
What did you understand that she would do with this information once obtained?
That she would alert the minister and the advisor to the minister, Advocate Pikoli.
And to your knowledge, was that the only thing that was intended with this information?
Well, at the time, at the time of the meeting, that was what was said. But subsequently, when I provided her with the information, then she instructed that senior investigator Badiachi should look into those allegations.
And on what basis would senior investigator Badiachi be looking into those matters?
Chair, I assumed, I assumed that because they have been raised, and the documentation that I've shown her or given to her that come from the analysts show that there is that collusion. I must hasten to say, as I've indicated in my statement, that this is a matter, what I refer to as the blue light investigation. And as I understood, before I even went to IDAC, that there was a consideration to charge Mr. Nkabinde related to that matter on what was discovered during that investigation. However, the DDPP responsible for that matter at the time took a view that they shouldn't include that, because as I understood, there was an addition to the accused before, and there was a fear that when they add further accused, they might face a 342A application by the defense. So they didn't want the matter to be removed from the court roll. And the view that was taken at the time was that the matter will be dealt with later outside of the blue lights investigation.